Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. The only thing I'll ask you to comply to is to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That said, our first story of the day is by the Grey Nurse. Remove our admin permissions. We'll wait for the grief to come pouring down from above. This happened about 20 years ago as I was starting my IT career. The organization I was working for was an early adopter and had just rolled out Windows 2000, and delegated control was still a good idea, a long way off from being implemented. It was discussed making this happen by the sysadmins, but not implemented to allow the help desk to have granulated permissions. But this had not been worked out yet. I was still on the help desk and worked with Alec. Alec had been around since I think Noah was building the Ark, and possibly handed him the hammer when needed. So Alec knew everyone and had interesting stories to tell. If Alec is on here, he can tell his own stories. The computer corporation that the organization had hired to manage second and third level escalations above help desk decided that the lowly help desk peons, Alec and I, could not have domain administration permissions anymore. As we were doing the work and taking cases off them, that meant they couldn't justify as many man-hours they were charging our organization. So on Wednesday night, our accounts were removed from the elevated permissions without notifying us. Possibly our managers were notified, but not what the implications were. Here comes the compliance. See, all we could do now was catch and dispatch. Nothing else. Simply take the call and log it into the help desk system, saying someone needed their account unlocked to be able to work, someone else wanted to change their password as they had forgotten their password, and another person needed access to a specific folder on the file servers. This is all run-of-the-mill level 1 tasks that take seconds to complete. However, not this Thursday. See, the computer corporation that day needed to do their weekly team building meeting that I was not privy to, not working for them. However, I'm sure they were told how much extra money they would be making doing all these extra cases. Alex started after me, as he then had the later finish, so I explained our lack of access now and that we would simply catch and dispatch calls now, with the computer corporation doing all the work. This is boring and what gives help desk roles a really bad name. Alec wanted to go to our managers to get this changed immediately. However, I convinced him to comply with the corporation's diktat. We would allow the people directly affected by not being able to work to complain to their managers. Then they would complain to ours, so we don't look like we're being difficult to the computer corporation new stance, whom we had to get along with. Oh yes, they did complain. The manager for Computer Corporation got hauled out of their team meeting to fix things up so we could do our work, and our colleagues could then do theirs. When their manager asked why we didn't say these cases were backing up, we replied we couldn't change or unlock passwords, and they were busy in their meeting, and we were asked previously not to disturb them. Petty, I know, but we did get our admin rights back before lunchtime. Also, now things are massively changed and domain admin rights are not handed out so fast. But this was the early days of Windows 2000. Alec, you magnificent person, hope you're still kicking goals, and this brings back memories. Do you think a lot of these new managers who come in and totally mess up the flow of work are a result of being the new manager, feeling that pressure to raise numbers or raise productivity? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Our next story is by SnoogWavas4514. Eat only in the designated area? Fine. This happened yesterday at a large regional grocery chain near me. It's the type of place with tons of gourmet and specialty departments, including ready-to-eat food and a little cafe area. The cafe includes a small gated-off outdoor space on the side of the building, which gets pretty busy as people are still hesitant to eat inside right now. There's also a hot foods bar that changes each day of the week. Yesterday being Saturday and game day, the theme was chicken wings. So I was picking up my groceries for the week, minding my own business, when I'm hit with the most divine smell I've ever known. Mind you, it's a bit past noon and I haven't eaten all day. Next thing, I'm following the smell like a cartoon thief chasing a pie in a window. I find myself at the hot bar and, possessed by a force far greater than myself, load up a container of wings. I check out, now fully entranced with the aroma of buffalo sauce and knowing full well that these wings aren't going to make it home. I step outside and walk down to the end of my building and sit down on the concrete ledge under the awning, and I go to town on my chicken wings, like absolutely unhinged raccoon out of a dumpster, chowing the freak down and not caring about anything else. Proudest moment? No. Would I do it again? Absolutely. It's bliss. until suddenly my chickeny meditation is interrupted by that deliberate type of ahem that sounds less like a polite throat clearing and more like an engine trying to turn over. I look up and see a well-dressed woman, probably mid-40s, sternly tapping her foot and pointing behind me. Confused, I look over my shoulder and see the no loitering sign. I'm still not getting it. I've obviously got a cart full of groceries I've just stepped out with. I explain to her that I'm just enjoying my hot lunch before I head home. She's having none of it. Either eat in the designated cafe area or get out. I point out that all of the cafe tables are full and I've just got a couple more wings. Then she delivers the kicker, figure it out before I call someone to figure it out for you. Fine. I stand up, gathering my wings and leaving the rest of my groceries. I walk the 10 feet to the gated area, duck between the metal railings, the gate's about 10 yards down the way, look pointedly around at the occupied tables, then sit my butt down on the concrete and continue noshing my wings, looking this lady in the eye. She tuts and pulls out a cell phone, ostensibly to call someone to figure it out for me, but either it was for show or they thought she was as nuts as I did because I finished my chicken wings in peace, albeit among a sea of confused patrons. I just love the visual of a bunch of people eating in a crowded cafe. Somebody just strolls in with a box of wings, plops down on the bare ground and just starts eating. To be fair, I would be like, well, at least they look like they know what they want. They're gonna enjoy their chicken wings and they're not gonna care what anybody thinks. Our next story is by Ramen and Kalashnikovs. Okay, I will add spicy non-vegan sauce to your vegan burrito. This happened today, not to me personally, but to another customer that was the next in line at the food place I was at. To set the scene, this place is much like the famous Tex-Mex food joint in the US that serves burritos, burrito bowls, etc. You know the place. There are ready-made options, which come with a set configuration of food items, and there's also the option to build one yourself. All the options are written down on 3 big banners on top of where the employees make the food, as standard. I order my food, and I'm waiting for the next employee down the assembly line to finish my burrito with the condiments. An older woman who's carrying herself with that "I'm better than you" attitude, and who definitely looks like someone who does not enjoy fast food often and looks down on those who do, orders a vegan burrito, one of the preset choices. The employee still has to ask the type of tortilla, white or whole grain, and the type of rice, white or black. The woman's being very lazy with her response, looking down at her phone and taking her sweet time with it. The first employee makes the burrito base and passes it to the girl down the line, for whom I'm waiting to finish my burrito, and who is also to finish the woman's burrito. The woman asked if she could have any sauce with the burrito. The employee then explains that they don't put any sauce on the vegan burrito because the sauces aren't vegan. She says that they do put in salsa verde, which is technically a sauce but counts as a topping in this store, not a sauce. The woman doesn't reply, looks up quickly and asks for the red chipotle sauce, as there's pictures in the banner corresponding the sauces. At this store, there's 2 sauces with very similar names, explosive chipotle and creamy chipotle, one being significantly more spicy than the other one. The creamy sauce is orange in the photo, and the explosive, red. Neither sauce is vegan as the base is mayo. The employee's now trying to tell the woman 2 things: that the sauce she's asking for isn't vegan, in case the woman is, since she ordered a vegan burrito, and that the red sauce is very spicy. Now, maybe this woman knows what she's doing and she just likes the vegan burrito and can handle her spice. However, from my point of view, that was not the case. The employee says again, "Ma'am, this sauce isn't vegan and it's very spicy," only to be cut off by the woman who's saying with a very pushy tone, "Can I please just get the sauce?" I think the woman understood that the employee was not allowed to put extra sauce in the preset burrito options. You only get what's in the description. It was probably a long day for the employee, and she just stood there for a brief moment with a clear face of FML and asked, "Are you sure?" The woman promptly and annoyingly said, "Yes, I am sure." Cue malicious compliance. The employee added the salsa verde, which is already a bit spicy, and then grabbed this squeezy thing where the explosive chipotle sauce was and gave that woman a very generous amount of zigzagging on the entire burrito. She then looked up and with a smile said, "Is that gonna be warm or cold?" She then rang us both and the lady left. I wish to God I could have seen her face eating the burrito, but then again, maybe she loved it. We'll never know. The optimist in me would hope that she went home, took a big old bite out of this burrito, and then quickly rushed to the nearest sink to dip her tongue under the faucet. But who knows, maybe somebody like that is actually really used to ordering here. First of all, I would never be pushy, but I know for a fact that if I was for some reason, it definitely wouldn't be in a place where I don't know the menu that well. Our next story is by Brother P. You'll be calling your lawyer? Just what I want to hear. As a former school board privacy officer, I dealt with many freedom of information requests from the public that dealt with anything from salaries of senior employees to value of contracts awarded to emails about routine business. Occasionally, someone would submit a very complex request that would require a lot of time to complete. So it was with one parent who wanted thousands of emails, committee meeting minutes, reports, and the personal notes of a dozen different school board employees. The reason? She had requested that her children's bus stop move from the entrance to the cul-de-sac she lived on to right in front of her house. While the difference was only about 100 meters, 109 yards, the request was denied because the circle at the end of the cul-de-sac was too small for the bus to turn around. After working on the request for more than a month, she grew impatient and demanded to know what was taking so long. I tried to explain I was a one-man operation, but she started making accusations that I was part of a conspiracy against her. She demanded that I produce all the records immediately or I will contact my lawyer. Now, I'm smart enough to know that anyone who says I will contact my lawyer doesn't have one. Especially not one who specializes in freedom of information requests. But playing along, I said, "Oh, we don't want it to come to that. I'll finish this today," and hung up. So I did. The legislation requires that we charge $7.50 per 15 minutes of search time for records, plus $7.50 per 15 minutes of preparation time, redacting personal information, eliminating non-responsive info, etc., plus other incidental costs, copying, printing, etc. Because I had to have ICT help with the emails and the computer records, the charges added up rapidly. I called her back the next day and told her the first batch of records would be ready by the end of the week. Then I asked how she'd like to pay the costs. The costs? She said. What costs? How much? $4,870, I said. As I'm sure your lawyer will explain, 50% is payable up front before we proceed any further with the request. Then we can start on the next batch. Dead quiet on the other end of the phone. "You haven't heard the end of this. I'm calling local news," she shouted, and hung up. It is now 3 years later. Still waiting. I'm almost without a doubt certain that this lady who threatened to contact her lawyer would refuse to actually fund the lawyer's fees to investigate this, let alone the cost of obtaining all these records. And our final story of the day is by I'm Your Huckleberry 84. One balloon per person, you say? Alrighty then, I choose this one. This happened a couple of years back on my coworker's birthday. I ran out that morning to the party store to grab a small balloon bouquet. Wasn't going for anything fancy, just one Mylar birthday balloon with 2 or 3 solid colored latex balloons to match. A fairly standard arrangement. It was a little after 10 a.m., the store had just opened, and I was the only customer in there. I walked up to the counter to order my balloons, and the woman working there asks me if I had pre-ordered. I told her I hadn't, and she informed me that she couldn't do it for me. Apparently, if I didn't pre-order, it was their store policy that they could only do 1 balloon per person per visit. I looked around. I'm still the only customer in the store. Now, I totally get why this would be something the store would have to enforce if there were other people waiting. But again, there was nobody else there, and filling up 3 to 4 regular balloons would take maybe 2 minutes tops, and it was pretty obvious at this point that this lady was just really being lazy. I apologized and explained that I wasn't aware of their policy and would remember to call ahead in the future, but asked if she could help me out because I was trying to get them for my coworker whose birthday was that day. She answered me abruptly with a, "Sorry, store policy." I think about it for a second and tell her to hold on for a minute. If I can only get 1 balloon, I would like to pick a different one. I went back to one of the birthday party aisles and found a package for a full-bodied Mickey Mouse balloon. Now, if you've ever seen one of these full-bodied character balloons, you'll know that it's made up of multiple parts, head, arms, body, legs, feet, etc., that need to be individually blown up and then assembled to create the character. This is then completed with putting weights and rollers on the feet so your balloon can walk. It is technically 1 balloon though. I went back and handed the package to the lady at the front counter, shrugged and said, "If I only get one balloon, it might as well be a good one." I then proceeded to watch her struggle to figure out how to assemble it for the next 15 to 20 minutes. I can't say I've ever spent $20 on a single balloon before, but it was totally worth it to watch this woman angrily assemble my single balloon, when if she'd just done what I'd originally asked for, I probably would have already been back in my office. I only wish I could have watched her watch me as I left, walking hand in hand out of that door with my freshly created Mickey Mouse balloon. This is definitely a much more petty thing, but I definitely appreciate the, "Alright, you're gonna give me the rub over 3 to 4 balloons? Here, fill up 3 to 4 balloons for my one balloon. Try to say no to me now." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.